Life Below Water by Ryan Warhurst. In this presentation, I'm going to cover the targets set under the goal of life below water, as well as, based on my research, how successful I believe the progress has been on achieving these targets. Firstly, what is the goal of life below water? Life below water encompasses the global issue of the deterioration of our underwater ecosystem due to external factors including overfishing, ocean warming, plastic pollution, etc. The goal of life underwater is to attempt to help restabilize the ocean ecosystem by limiting or eliminating these external factors by a general goal of 2030. SDG are attempting to complete this goal by satisfying 6 different targets. The aim of Target 1 is to reduce and prevent pollution both from plastics as well as eutrophication. On the side of eutrophication, the target has been unsuccessful as there has been little change in the levels of chlorophyll in the ocean, only decreasing by 0.11% from 2015 to 2021. However, the reduction of plastic pollution has been much more successful as the amount of plastic per square kilometre in Europe has reduced by 801,000. It can be said that this contrasting success is caused largely in part by public awareness of the issue, as the public initiative to prevent plastic pollution is much more widespread than that of eutrophication. Target 2, when put simply, is to increase the amount of countries that use the oceans surrounding their country in a sustainable way, mainly through the use of marine protection legislation. The progress towards this goal has been minimal, as even though the target was meant to have been achieved by 2020, as of 2021, only 18 of the 193 countries that agree to this target have satisfied the criteria. The goal of Target 3 is the reduction of pH levels in the ocean to prevent total acidification. The prevention of acidification of the ocean waters is crucial to the overall well-being of the aquatic environments, as acidification leads to fewer carbonate ions. These carbonate ions are used for calcification, meaning crustaceans and organisms that rely on a rigid skeletal structure will suffer due to a decrease in bone density. Although there are still 8 years left to improve the progress towards this target, there has again been little positive change, as in fact the ocean pH level has decreased by 0.02 since the goal was set, as shown in Figure 5, putting the oceans one step closer to total acidification. Target 4 is the simplest of all the targets within life below water, as its goal is to prevent and restrict overfishing due to illegal and unreported fisheries. Despite the simplicity of the goal, the target has seen the least of progress, as out of the 200 million tonnes of fish put to market, 34% is produced unsustainably. And despite the target being set for 2022, the amount of sustainable fish produced has decreased by 0.9% since the target was set in 2015. In contrast to the previous targets, Target 5 has actually seen much success, as the goal of conserving 10% of coastal areas was achieved as of 2018, with the percent of protected areas actually reaching 11.48%. The success of this project is due largely in part to countries that previously had little to no coastal areas protected by law, establishing legislation in accordance with this goal. For example, Kazakhstan now has 50% of its coastal areas covered by legislation. In terms of both environment and economic welfare, it can be argued that Target 6 is the most important, as 500 million people rely on the protection and conservation of small-scale fisheries to make a living. This is especially true in small island nations where 97% of the 500 million people that rely on the industry reside. As such, great efforts have been put in place to implement sustainable methods in these areas, as demonstrated by the rise to a 5 out of 5 small fisheries on average being supported by other nations. This is in comparison to the average 60% in 2018. A great example of how this target is achievable is sightsee fishing, where the use of spears to fish has led to a decrease in harm to the environment, as in comparison to trawling, coral and other aquatic species are not harmed as often. Although Life Below Water has 6 hard targets, it also has 3 general targets without a target date, which encompass a need to increase aquatic research as well as implementing legislation and infrastructure to regulate and protect fisheries. As these are soft targets, it's quite hard to analyse the progress of them. However, one piece of data I was able to research paints a bleak future to these targets, as the GDP spent on marine research on average across the world is only 1.7%, which when put into context through the average GDP spent on military defence budgets sat at 2.4%, demonstrates how globally countries see little benefit in not just marine research, but the goal of life below water as a whole. To conclude, as a whole, the targets within the goal of life below water has been largely unsuccessful. This can be said to be caused by each country's reluctance to reform industries to the detriment of their GDP, as well as reluctance to increase the amount of spending on the issue. As, as such, only targets that require little to no expenditure have been completed, for example, 14.5. To alleviate such issues, the future conferences on the SDG goals, for example, the 2023 SDG Summit, need to focus on incentivizing and increasing in budget allocation if there is to be any chance of the targets being fulfilled by 2030. To comply with good research standards, I've also added references to all images and research data I used in this PowerPoint using the Harvard APA 7 style.